When Galactic Compliance Officer Thex'ral boards a human research station to audit Earth's disaster protocols, he expects primitive safety measures and laughable preparation. What he discovers instead shatters every assumption the consortium holds about humanity's place in the civilized galaxy. After questioning the meaning of a Category 5 inches designation, Dr. Kai Storm pulls up archived footage that forces Thex'ral to confront an uncomfortable truth. Humans don't just survive their planet's apocalyptic tantrums, they've learned to thrive in them. What follows is a darkly humorous clash between bureaucratic certainty and raw, terrifying reality, where one species' annual weather report becomes another's nightmare fuel. The question isn't whether humans belong among the stars. The question is whether the galaxy is ready for what they bring with them. The airlock hissed open with a sound that reminded me of my last meal trying to escape. Fitting, really, considering what I'd just experienced during the shuttle ride through Earth's atmospheric layers. My third stomach was still somewhere near my secondary liver, and my equilibrium sensors kept insisting we were upside down. Welcome aboard Research Platform Zenith. The human female wore what I'd learned was called a lab coat, though it bore suspicious stains that suggested either incompetent eating habits or something far more concerning. Her identification badge read, Dr. Kai Storm in those angular human letters. You must be Compliance Officer Thex'ral. We've been expecting you. I straightened my auditory fronds, trying to project the authority my position demanded. 3 cycles of training at the consortium's finest institutions, 12 successful planetary audits, and now this babysitting a species that had only discovered faster-than-light travel by accidentally creating a warp bubble while testing a weapon. Typical humans. Indeed, I am here to assess your disaster preparedness protocols before approving Earth's application for full consortium membership. I consulted my datapad, scrolling through the preliminary reports. Your planet shows an alarming frequency of catastrophic events, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, something called wildfires. I clicked my mandibles in disapproval. Frankly, I'm surprised you've survived long enough to develop space travel. Dr. Storm's mouth curved upward. I'd studied human expressions during the flight, and this one, called a smile, could indicate either friendliness or the prelude to violence. With humans, apparently both were possible simultaneously. Oh, you haven't seen anything yet. She gestured toward the corridor with one of her 5-digited appendages. Coffee? I do not require stimulants to perform my duties. Suit yourself. More for me then. She led me through the station, her shoes making peculiar squeaking sounds against the metal floor. So, where do you want to start? We've got protocols for tectonic events, solar flares, asteroid impacts, pandemic responses. Let's begin with atmospheric phenomena. Your file mentions something called hurricane seasons. I pulled up the relevant section. The notation here indicates a Category 5 designation. Please explain the classification system. Dr. Storm stopped walking. She turned to face me, and that smile had shifted into something else entirely. Something that made my survival instincts scream warnings in 3 different biological languages. You want to know what a Category 5 is? That is what I stated. Yes. Okay. She pulled out a small handheld device, her fingers dancing across its surface. But don't say I didn't warn you. We entered what appeared to be a viewing chamber, one wall dominated by a massive display screen. Dr. Storm tapped her device, and the screen illuminated with swirling white patterns against blue. This is Hurricane Patricia, October 2015. Category 5. Her voice had taken on a different tone, almost reverent. Wind speeds peaked at 200 miles per hour. That's about 320 kilometers per hour, if you prefer. My interior eyes widened. That must be an extinction-level event. How many population centers were destroyed? What was the casualty count? Oh, we evacuated. Got most people out of the danger zone. She swiped to another image. This is Hurricane Katrina, another Category 5. Now this one, we didn't handle so well. Learned a lot from that mistake though. The footage showed structures, entire human habitations, submerged under brown water, Debris floated past what looked like the tops of buildings. My translator unit struggled with the scale of destruction. You're telling me these events happen regularly enough that you've named them. I felt my chromatophores shifting to distressed yellow, and you classify them, like you're organizing them into categories of acceptable devastation. Well, yeah. Dr. Storm pulled up a chart showing a spiral pattern with numbers. Category 1 through 5 based on wind speed. We've got a whole system. We track them, name them, predict their paths. We've gotten pretty good at it, actually. Weather satellites, computer modeling, early warning systems. But surely these catastrophes force complete societal collapse, massive refugee situations. The economic devastation alone. She laughed. Actually laughed. A sound that humans apparently made when finding something amusing rather than threatening. Dude, we have hurricane parties. My translator unit must have malfunctioned. Parties? Yeah. You know, social gatherings. People stock up on supplies, board up their windows, and ride it out together. There's even a tradition in some places of making special food. Hurricane nachos, hurricane punch. I stared at her, my minds, all three of them, refusing to process this information in any logical framework. You throw parties during planetary catastrophes. I mean, not everyone. Some people evacuate, which is smart. But yeah, plenty of folks stay put. We've been doing this for thousands of years. She pulled up more footage, this time showing humans actually outside during what appeared to be violent weather, holding devices toward the sky. These people chase storms. For fun. And science. Mostly science. Some fun. That's insane. That's Florida. She continued scrolling through images and video clips, each one more disturbing than the last. Humans standing on beaches as massive waves crashed behind them. Humans measuring wind speed while trees bent parallel to the ground. Humans rescuing other humans using boats, helicopters, and improvised rafts fashioned from debris. And this happens annually. Hurricane season? Yeah. June through November in the Atlantic. We've got a different schedule for Pacific typhoons. Oh, and cyclones in the Indian Ocean. That's a whole other thing. My primary brain was attempting to calculate the statistical probability of a species surviving this level of regular catastrophe. My secondary brain had given up and was considering early retirement. My tertiary brain was already composing my resignation letter. So let me understand this correctly. I needed to sit down. But humans apparently designed their furniture for their specific biomechanics, and the chair looked uncomfortable. Multiple times per year, your planet generates storms capable of obliterating cities, and your response is to measure them, name them, and occasionally have social gatherings. Pretty much, yeah. Dr. Storm's smile widened. Want to see the tornado footage? There are more types of catastrophic wind events. My voice cracked across 3 octaves, something that hadn't happened since my juvenile molting phase. Dr. Storm's expression shifted into what my cultural database identified as mischievous glee. This was bad. I'd seen that look before, on a Vraxian merchant right before he sold me what he claimed was authentic Earth cuisine that turned out to be something called ghost peppers. I'd required medical intervention. Oh, Thex'ral, she said. My name with an emphasis that suggested pity. We haven't even gotten to the fun stuff yet. She pulled up new footage, this time showing a dark, spinning column descending from angry clouds. The funnel touched the ground, and everything in its path simply ceased to exist in any organized form. Buildings exploded into component pieces. Vehicles tumbled through the air like children's toys. This is an EF5 tornado. Enhanced Fujita scale, level 5. Wind speeds over 200 miles per hour, sometimes 300. They can drive a piece of straw through a telephone pole. We found cancelled checks 50 miles from where they started. One time, a tornado picked up an entire train. And people live in the regions where these occur? I was gripping my datapad so tightly the casing cracked. Millions of people. There's a whole section of the country we call Tornado Alley. They get dozens of tornadoes every year. Hundreds. Some years. She zoomed in on a map showing a large swath of the North American continent, highlighted in red. Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, Texas. Beautiful places, really. Wide open skies. Beautiful, beautiful. My translator was definitely working now, because it perfectly captured my hysteria in standard galactic. You're describing death zones. Well, that's a bit dramatic. Dr. Storm sipped from her coffee container. Most tornadoes are pretty small. EF0, EF1. Maybe knock down some trees, damage some roofs. We've built structures that can handle those. Underground shelters, reinforced safe rooms. The building codes in these areas are really strict. So you've engineered your habitations to survive? Some of them. The big ones still flatten everything. She pulled up an aerial view of complete devastation, an entire town reduced to scattered debris and bare foundations. This was Joplin, Missouri. EF5 in 2011. But we rebuilt. We always rebuild. I felt my digestive systems shutting down in sympathetic horror. Because it's home, she said it simply, as if that explained everything. Perhaps, horrifyingly, it did. Dr. Storm wasn't finished. She pulled up footage of massive walls of dust-consuming cities, floods that turned streets into rivers, blizzards that buried entire communities under frozen water crystals. Each disaster had its own classification system, its own preparedness protocols, its own folklore and survival stories. This is a derecho, straight-line winds that can travel hundreds of miles. This is a haboob, dust storm, common in Arizona. This is lake-effect snow, dumped 7 feet in one day. Oh, and this? She paused on an image of a massive cloud formation that looked like an anvil mating with an artillery shell. Supercell thunderstorm. These babies can produce tornadoes, hail the size of baseballs, lightning strikes every second, and rain so hard you can't see 5 feet in front of you, sometimes all at once. You're telling me, I said slowly, trying to maintain some shred of professional composure, that your planet attempts to kill you on a regular basis through multiple different methodologies, and you've just adapted. Adapted. Dr. Storm laughed again, that terrifying sound. We've done more than adapt. We've turned it into entertainment. Storm chasing is a tourist industry. We've got movies about tornadoes, disaster films, weather channels dedicated to 24-hour coverage. We name winter storms now too. Kids get excited about snow days. We have apps that send alerts to our phones when bad weather is coming. She pulled up one final video. This one showed humans, dozens of them, standing outside in calm weather. Then the sirens started. A wailing sound that made my skin crawl. The humans didn't panic. They moved with practiced efficiency, gathering children, heading toward sheltered areas, helping elderly neighbors. Within minutes the sky turned green, a color my database warned meant immediate danger. The tornado that appeared wasn't just large, it was monstrous, a wedge of rotating destruction nearly a mile wide. It carved a path directly toward the camera position, and I realized with dawning horror that someone had stayed behind to film it. That's Reed Timmer, Dr. Storm said, noting my expression. Professional storm chaser. He drives an armored vehicle into tornadoes, on purpose, for science, and also because he loves it. The video showed the tornado passing, the camera shaking but surviving. In the aftermath, those same humans emerged from their shelters and immediately began helping each other. No waiting for authorities, no paralysis from trauma. They just started pulling people from rubble, clearing roads, setting up supply distribution. We've had volcanic eruptions bury cities. We've had earthquakes level entire metropolitan areas. We've had floods, droughts, heat waves that killed thousands. We've had ice storms, meteor strikes, sinkholes that swallow neighborhoods. Dr. Storm ticked them off on her fingers like a grocery list. And every single time we survive, we learn, we improve, we rebuild. I looked at her, really looked at her. This wasn't bravado or ignorance. This was something the consortium had never encountered before, something that didn't fit into our neat categories of civilized behavior. Your planet is a death world, I said quietly. Yeah, we know. She finished her coffee. But it's our death world. I thought about my own home world, with its carefully managed climate, its gentle rains that arrived on schedule, its geological stability enforced by ancient technology. We'd eliminated risk so thoroughly that we'd forgotten what it meant to face genuine danger. These humans, they remembered. They'd never had the luxury of forgetting. So Dr. Storm said, pulling up a new document on the screen, about those consortium membership protocols. I'm guessing we passed the disaster preparedness requirements. I stared at the checklist on my datapad. Adequate warning systems, check. Structural reinforcement standards, check. Emergency response procedures, check. Population resilience factors. I created a new category and rated it simply, yes. Dr. Storm, I said carefully. I'm going to recommend full consortium membership, but I'm also going to recommend that we update our classification system. Oh? Earth shouldn't be classified as a developing world or even a standard habitable planet. I began typing my report, knowing it would cause debates in the consortium for years. I'm classifying it as a survival training environment. If humans can handle Category 5 hurricanes as routine weather, I suspect the galaxy needs to prepare for what happens when they bring that same attitude to our problems. Dr. Storm's smile could have powered a small star. Welcome to Earth Compliance Officer Thex'ral. Hurricane season starts in 6 weeks. You're welcome to stay and experience it firsthand. My 3 brains achieved unanimous consensus for the first time in my life, absolutely not. But I had a feeling the consortium was about to discover what humanity already knew. You don't survive by avoiding the storm. You survive by learning to dance in it. And humans? They'd been dancing for millennia. The galaxy wasn't ready, but it was going to learn.